And we are live on YouTube. See you in 4 minutes, guys. We're live on IG Live and on YouTube Live.
Link in bio.
Three minutes. 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes. Okay. So.
Two minutes left, guys. See you in a couple of minutes. IG Live, YouTube Live. Let us know in the comments and have any questions. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us today for another amazing session. We have free mind sessions on today, and they're going to take us through collective creative consciousness. Thank you for joining us today for another amazing.
You can keep talking.
Yeah, so collective creative consciousness with free mind session today. It's going to be awesome. Tomorrow we have Under Our Skin, who will take us through their film festival coming up, see how you can apply and be part of the film festival. So thank you for joining us. Tell a friend to join us. Cheers.
And now hey guys.
And now we're gonna play a pre-recorded 27-minute clip of free mind session, and then they're gonna join in live and continue with their session for another 45 minutes or so. And now we're going to play the pre-recorded content.
Thanks for tuning in. And we should just be appearing live YouTube right now. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Just getting the stream back up and running.
Welcome to Free Mind's first virtual session. We're pretty excited to be partnering with Nairobi Design Week on this month's topic, virtual collective creative consciousness. We're pretty excited to be partnering with Nairobi Design Week on this month's topic, virtual collectivity collaboration. And pretty excited to be partnering with Nairobi Design Week on this month's topic, virtual collectivity collaboration. And pretty excited to be partnering with Nairobi Design Week on this month's topic, virtual collectivity collaboration. And pretty excited.
Third time lucky, guys.
Welcome to Free Mind's first virtual session. We're pretty excited to be partnering with Nairobi Design Week on this month's topic, the collective creative consciousness, with the theme of togetherness. There has been a fusion of creativity collaboration, and I hope that today we'll be able to dig deep onto the conversations towards that topic. A little bit about our icebreaker today. We are going to be partnering with Verbal Connections, a card game geared towards diving deep into different topics, whether it's your intimacy, deal breakers, relationships, and just those questions you want to ask somebody that you're dating, or you want to break the ice.
Yeah, get yours, yeah, no matter the cost. Top boss, I'm a floss out, yes, of course. Falsehood to the dollar, cash rules everything around us. Dollar, dollar, baby, world so crazy.
Our panelist for today, and we're also going to do a bit of an icebreaker with our partner Verbal Connections. So these people are going to introduce themselves, and we're going to get into the game a little bit. So on to my right hand side, we have
Jeff, founder and owner of Aiepath Studios. It's a little design studio here in Nairobi. We do all sorts of production work and live events.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. And on to my left hand side. Is it my left?
Yes. Hi, my name is Rosemary Wangari. I'm a fashion and textile designer. I'm also a baker, an artist, and I do makeup sometimes.
Boom.
I'm Blocka Beats. I'm a producer, DJ, sound engineer, rapper. I as well have my own agri-business where we focus on organic farming and yeah, an entrepreneur as well.
Amazing. So these are the panelists, catalysts for today, who are going to be going through some of these interesting questions that I have for them. And I'm going to kind of give you this one, read it out, and we're going to sort of answer, you know, give our own thoughts on it. So,
All right.
okay.
So the card I have is it more important to be tactful or truthful?
Right. Okay. So, Rosemary, we're putting you on the spot here.
You're putting me on the spot.
Yes.
Oh, personally. Am I supposed to say it like in general or personally?
Just, I mean, I think this is just a question towards you as a person and just getting to know each other. Yeah.
Personally, I'm more tactful than truthful. So the way I deliver things, I don't always have to be truthful 100%, but very tactful in anything that I'm saying or doing. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Anna?
I'd say I'm both, but I think I'd lean more to the truth side. I think it's just, I always like to have honesty and just straight up.
Your moral compass is like intact.
Yeah, so I can judge and then now be, you know, tactful, but yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jeff?
I'd like to think I'm more tactful, but honestly, I'm probably more truthful. I mean, you know, it's just easier to say what's on your mind. There's less thinking involved, and it's better for the other person to know. And, you know, sometimes if they get offended, they get offended. You know? What can you
True.
do?
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's
It is what
interesting.
it is.
I think we're getting more, but I think for me personally, I'm truthful because I cannot. I don't know. Filtering things in my mind is not a common trait I have. If you know me, like just like verbal diarrhea sometimes, and it's sometimes it can be a bit too much for people to handle. Yeah. So I think that's probably on that side. So I'm gonna read this one. How do you define freedom? I think freedom for me is like what will entail like me being able to feel comfortable, but at the same time having the will to make decisions on my own without feeling the need of like there's obviously the questions of asking somebody else how they would feel, but I don't know, freedom to me feels being able to have the liberty to make decision making on my own. Like we're just talking only decision making, guys.
Okay.
I know freedom could be on a scale. Yeah. How about you, Rosemary? Like how would you define freedom?
Well, when it comes to decision making, right? I think it's the ability to 100% be my true self with no regrets. Actually, just that being myself with no regrets. When I'm making a decision, I'm like, is this what I want? 100% with no regrets. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. How about you, Anna?
I would go, I don't know, I would say freedom of opportunity. I think also when it comes to deciding, I think if everyone, regardless of your class, race, you know, ethnicity, if you all have the freedom to have that same opportunity and to have that same decision making, I think, yeah, that is the goal of having, the freedom to decide, to choose.
If you had the power to do so, what would you change about today's society?
Good question. I love this. All right, you go first. Actually,
No, I won't go first. I read it.
well, I think the power to change in terms of society. Society has a lot of things, but one thing I would want society to be able to change is the act of that whole, I don't know what word I can use, but coercing a lot of us as young people towards certain preconceived notions that are unnecessary. I feel like that energy sometimes is so off-putting for a lot of us. As a creative, we seem to be in a tangent of we must do X, Y, Z, and if you're not, then there's society looking at you like, damn, you're a failure, yet you're not. So I think that's one of the things that would change about society. You know? What about you, Jeff?
I think one of the main issues with society today is that everything runs off of greed. You know, everyone's just kind of out to take care of themselves. You know, you step on the next guy to get a leg up. And so I think that's one of the biggest issues, you know, because if we all kind of come together and try and, help each other out. Or, as you're trying to make money and make your living, oh man, I lost the point. But either way, long story short, let's stop hoarding wealth at the top 1% and let's see how we can divide it equally amongst 99. And then, we solve a lot of the issues that are ailing us today. Yeah, I think that's my one thing.
Yeah, and I was going to add something similar. I was going to say corruption. I think, there's a lot of, just money lost within the system that can help, even going back to your point of the youth, that can come back to us and really help support different institutions, people, marginalized or disadvantaged people within the economy and the country. And I think, if we had more proper structured, systems in place that gave accountability and opportunity to people, a lot would change.
I like that. And wrapping us up.
Okay, I'd say cancel culture to a limit, because nowadays it's getting really insane. People will look for tweets that you had 10 years ago. I do believe people change and perspectives change. So I think it's toxic right now. Yeah.
Oh my, you've actually said something very important, but we're gonna sort of come back into that in a bit. This wraps up our icebreaker, so we can go. Thank you so much, Verbal Connections, for this. So we're now part 2 of our session, which is what we're going to be talking about: collective creative consciousness, the 3 C's of today. And this is tying in with what we're doing with togetherness. And I think a lot of why it was so important, and all of you guys sitting right here, is so vital towards this conversation. Anam, I want you to start this off, because something that you experienced over last year was collaboration, deeply. Sharing resources, and given the limitations of the pandemic, how did you find yourself opening up towards collaborating and reaching out with other people?
I think for myself personally, I've always been a collaborative person. I always find when I'm working in a team and with others, the end output, the end product that we produce is much better than if it would just be me, or just more fuller and more inclusive of different ideas, different backgrounds, different perspectives. And I think now in the last year with the COVID and everything and quarantine, it really gave us that space to really dive deeper into that collaboration and see how we can really create something special. And in my case, it was Nairobi too, where I was bringing different producers, different artists, different graphic designers all together in the same space, and just coming out with cool ass ideas.
Yeah, because going also into, for you, Rosemary, you're a fashion designer, baker, artist, and there's ways in which do you feel, how did you feel in that space of quarantine? How are you feeling everything was coming together for you?
In the fashion industry, I didn't really even get to collaborate a lot like last year, because I wouldn't even get people to model for me when COVID was COVID. But a lot of creatives really did share each other's work, like past work. And another thing that opened my mind to, during the pandemic, people really leaned to the tech side. So virtual reality fashion is a new thing that's coming up. So that will really help with slow fashion, because we don't need to produce everything that's going to be on the runway. If you can digitalize it, that's amazing. So that's a new thing that I really want to look into and even bring it here. Yeah, mostly that.
I know, because for you, Jeff, I think this would be super interesting to dive into. We were thinking about ways, we were thinking of the 2 different collaborations, and you have a space whereby it can intertwine towards us having people in your space. And I want you to dive into that, how you've been able, especially last year and this year, towards getting yourself out again, towards opening up with other people.
Right, yeah. The last year was definitely a challenge, because I think when the whole COVID thing started, we actually even wrapping up last year's, NDW festival. So right after that, it was it was really tricky because, all the, everyone who's DJing or anything like that, all of that dried up. And so everyone kind of had to go back to the drawing board and figure things out. So it was really good because then I got to reach out and reconnect with a lot of people, who are trying to figure out, okay, how do we do things virtually? How do we do things in this new way? And it was really good, and a lot came out of that because with the space I have, what I try and do is try and connect creatives together. So it's not really just looking at myself and, okay, how can I take advantage of all these people? It's more like, okay, all these people are here, they probably should meet, they probably should start talking, and then something can come out of that. So it was kind of switching over to that the whole COVID thing, the whole pandemic really helped. Everyone kind of hit the brakes on what they were doing and then kind of sort out each other.
Yeah.
And a lot of good stuff came out of it.
Okay, so we've talked about like the positive. Like, of course, collaboration is great, but I've always wanted to know where do you draw the line whereby you're feeling that how you're about to approach somebody else, and also for you as an artist, it comes with a bit of like give and take. So maybe like Anam, for you had a lot of people on your album. Where did you feel there was a bit of like, okay, I have to give up a bit for me to...
For sure, and this is something, my mom has always been telling me since a youngin', too many chefs spoil the meal.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to collaboration, there also has to be a clear distinction between roles. Everyone can't be doing the same thing or, trying to come up with the same concept. It's really about what are you good at, what are you specializing in, okay, what's my role within this project? How can I contribute my part for this certain output and not really stepping on anybody's toes? And I think if you can create that structure within the project, or you as yourself as an individual know where you can come in and really put your expertise, then you wouldn't really step on toes. But this is a learning process for everyone, and I think I've been in that position before, these guys as well, and you just have to be with the right people who can see where they can fit into this certain project.
Right. Yeah. Is there, like, would you say that has been the same for you? Like, there was a bit of a give or take towards like certain projects you embarked on? Like you, yeah?
Yeah. There's a really fine line when it comes to professionalism and having good vibes. So sometimes you can find the people you're working with might not be as professional as you want them to be on set when you're working, especially if you're friends. Another thing is, as you said, people have to get their own roles. So I can't be telling the camera guy how to do his job or the set designer how to do their job. Everyone should be like having their own roles when you're collaborating, and it's something that should be stated before you decide to collaborate.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I was just, I was thinking about this because oh, this one's going to kill me. In the back of your mind, there's always that way of being aware that everybody that you put on this project is important, but at the same time, I know there are things that at the end of it all, we'll have to give. Like, there's a bit of a sweet compromise, as we like to say, towards like getting these projects off the road. And I don't know, I was just thinking about it because I had this, in terms of uniting several people with the aim of their strengths to be amplified. But at the end of the day, I don't know, maybe for you, Jeff, you've worked with your set a lot. How do you feel you're able to ensure everybody's, like, almost the strengths gather up, you must say?
I guess a lot of it is, it's really important to build the right team from the get-go, because by the time you have a project and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I have 5 guys who would make a good team to get this project done, you also have to kind of look at them individually. Guy number 2 has a humongous ego. He's not going to be able to work with everyone. Then it's something you have to consider, and it's everywhere from be it like musical projects, something more professional, like just basic production work and all of that. It's just about putting the right people together, but at the same time always being able to kind of have people talk to each other and kind of in a very open and frank way, because there's a lot of, in as much as guys don't step on each other's toes, we have a bit of a culture of not wanting to, necessarily always want to confront someone.
Right.
And sometimes maybe that's necessary to kind of break down, like someone has walls up or someone has an ego, someone kind of wants to come in and take over the project, and you have to kind of remind them that
Egos are coming to play.
you kind of have to kill your own ego as well, getting into something. And I mean, like for me, I work more on professional stuff, but I got my start in music production.
Right.
And that killed a lot of collaboration in the early days. A lot of people wanted to collaborate, but then again, no egos were getting checked at the door. So you walk into someone's thing and he's like, yeah, this is my project, it's going to go this way. And then the next time you go over and he's going to do the same thing to you. It's like, yeah, no, the same way you shot me, even me. This is my project, it's my way or the highway. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things, guys have to kind of remember.
Yeah.
Give yourself to the process and hold the project above all else. Yeah.
Above all else.
Yeah.
And I like that, because now I can build onto understanding whether there's been a bit of a fusion, like an invisible line that holds us together, and I feel like, has that changed how we connect, and is that like, and how do we tap into this? Because given that we were sort of in self-isolation, where was the point of, okay, I can go out and subconsciously be able to connect with other people? Do you feel, maybe Rosemary, because you're also into baking, and I feel like this is something interesting, that how do you go into, okay, where do I go to, where's my target market, who can I connect with, and stuff like that?
See, for baking, it's more like the business side than the creative side. So, but with the creative thing, during this pandemic, we really had to engage ourselves in the internet. So I discovered like new things I actually have interest in, especially when people, like that time everyone was sharing everyone's work, everyone's doing something new. Like we had to do other things that we didn't used to do, like because life got in the way. But so yeah, like through that, I was more drawn to like collaborate with other people, like illustrators or like people in tech, like in fashion. Like the limits were expanded. Yes, they were limitless.
We have okay, that's amazing. You said the internet, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like it works against us as creatives, because we are supposed to be in our minds expanding towards like what we have in front of us, but we get drawn, and we get drawn by so many things that almost a pressure for feeling like, okay, guys are doing this, so I must be doing this. And maybe you guys tell me, because I also feel heavily drawn by the internet at some times, almost to the point of mental breaks, almost. Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, there is a pressure. There's a lot of pressure, especially right now. Everyone is doing amazing stuff, from people who are even 16 to people who are older. Everyone is doing really amazing stuff, and the internet is really powerful. But it's up to you to take it as either inspiration, because it can get overwhelming. You can be like, what am I actually doing? If you start, the thing is, if you start comparing artists, that's where you go downhill. Just know individualism is where it's at. Be your own self. Take your time to know what you like. Explore, experiment on, like the borders are limitless. Take your time to know what you want, what you like, what you don't like. Yeah, don't be it's all fun and games to say don't be pressurized, but the pressure is definitely there.
And do you feel like this comes from self? Also, there's sort of like what we like to say, the imposter syndrome kicking in, whereby you don't create. I mean, Anna, you created an app. We're going to go back into different pots here, because we have a melting pot of creativity sitting right here. But did you feel at any one point you are like, am I really capable of doing this?
For sure, there's many stages where you reach that, where you're like, should I even be doing this album? Should I be releasing this album?
Who am I?
Yeah, to stages where it's like, oh, this is the best album, let's get it out here. So I think you always go up this roller coaster of emotions and just feelings. But I think, especially going back to the internet and feeling this pressure, it's more about having this balance. You have to have a balance of your life, having a balance whether you're looking at it, okay, on the internet, in reality, yes, I'm feeling bad about myself or I'm not confident, but other times I am. And I think just taking those in and reflecting from them is what can make you, in a general sense now, produce something that will matter and that you can really
Look
strive.
back on and be happy that, I put that best work out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you work with, you said, professional corporate work. Has that ever have you ever felt that? Like you're just on set and like, who am I?
I mean, like almost every time, because I think it's just one of those things of, you want to make something that's really good, and and it's just all about growth. But actually, I think he really hit the nail on the head. It really comes from these feelings of self-doubt, self-confidence. So whenever you see someone else doing something really, really amazing on the internet and putting out something really good, your first thought is, when you feel bad, it's like, oh man, am I actually that good? Or am I actually capable of that? Then the imposter syndrome kicks in. And it leads to a lot of hating on the internet and stuff like that. And I think, but then again, it's good because when you see the level people are at, and it drives you to do better, to
for
think
yourself
about,
mostly.
because it's about you. This is not about them. It's not about how other people are going to take it. It's about you and your journey. So, and it's your chance to grow. So when you feel bad, double down. Spend more time in the studio if that's your place. Spend more time in front of the mirror if you do makeup, in the kitchen, if you bake, all of that, and just kind of lose yourself in the process. So by the time putting something out and you're proud of it, then I think that's the best thing. I think that's the best way to balance that feeling.
I love that. Oh my God, because at the end of the day, this thing will continuously be in a battle with ourselves, but continuously be in a unfortunate unhealthy relationship or healthy relationship with the internet, because it's here to stay. We are going so digital with everything. But I want to wrap this up by something that's super important that I feel has been sort of arcing us as free minds, but also just as a society as a whole in the creative space. Collectives, right? You guys know them. We've had the Nest, we have this. I think it's like, we know in a collective we are working towards a common goal, right? But how do you feel you as an individual hypothetically would contribute to such a space and still have your own individual mindset? So I just want to maybe get your thoughts on this, like in terms of like working in a collective and also just how you stay, like we said, true to yourself. I'm looking at you, Rosemary.
I think collectives are a great way to grow, because you all just grow together. Growing as a community is pretty much not easier, but it's kind of better because you have people to push you, to motivate you, you have the same common goals. You have the togetherness, exactly. Even if one of you feels bad or the imposter syndrome is kicking in, like there's someone who's going to be there to help you. But as much as the collectives are great, individualism is also pretty good. You're supposed to have your own goals, like me as Rosemary, what do I want to achieve for myself? What impact will I have in the fashion industry? What impact do I want to have by the time I'm this age? Or what do I want? As much as we are a group of people with the same common goal, I need to know what do I want for myself and for the better of others.
Okay, do you feel like it takes there's a bit of a higher power in a collective? Like say, I don't know.
Like a hierarchy?
like this, how like, yes, as creatives we are here, but there's almost an invisible power of like, but we are a collective. I don't know.
I don't know. For me, when I look at collectives, I think it's more about the roles that you can't do. I think a collective comes in and let's say, we could say we are a collective. Now, I know he has a studio, so if I ever need a studio, I'm there, If he has a party and he needs a DJ or he needs someone to sound engineer, I can be there. And it kind of now relieves those pressures that we put on ourselves of trying to do everything as an individual. I think, being an individual and standing out is still important and it still has to be there. But end of the day, you can't do everything by yourself. So really having this collective and having the people there to be supportive and just being able to provide and offer you other aspects that can make your individual contribution bigger, that's really the end goal.
Okay. Definitely. I'm so glad. Thank you guys so much for being here. And yes, I think. Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. I just want to thank our amazing catalysts, Anam, Rosemary, and Jeff, to Nairobi Design Week, Orion Studios, and finally, Verbal Connections. As always, thank you so much. Stay free-minded.
So much game you can taste. How only party, no trace. How only Wesley, no stress. OCP.
Wow. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We are so grateful for those who are able to come and join us into the live chat. Like we said, we are going deep. This is now the post session whereby we can gather like your questions, and I have a few guests with me on the live stream as well. So I think I'm gonna start off just by figuring out, a lot of you guys had a lot of questions in regards to collaboration and how that is changing over the course of the years and everything. But something that I do want us to sort of dive deep today is understanding also just us as individuals, and whether creativity is an individual thing and how that continues to transform towards now collaboration. So I think I will call upon my fellow partner Lindsay, and maybe we'll be able to dig deep into understanding that and whether her experiences with creativity has been on an individual standpoint and how it transpires towards other people and collaborations.
Thank you everyone for coming. First of all, if you enjoyed our session earlier on, then I would say just in the comment section, just put like a woo, this emoji, this I don't know what it's called. Is it like a double high five, or is it like a praise and worship? I'm not sure. Of course, as if you're joining us now, we do have some other people on the screen that you did not see previously in the chat. Of course, as soon as I'm done answering the question that Nyacomba has probes towards me, I think we'll definitely go around and each person can tell you a little bit about who they are and what they do. My name is Aiepath. For those of you who didn't catch my name in the beginning, you can call me Avis. I am also a painter. So for me, creativity as it is, it stems from very many different places. And I would say, considering the craft that I do practice, which is painting, more specifically body art that I'm known for, it heavily revolves around bringing a lot of talents together. It's a very interesting space when it comes to vision boarding and getting the ideas together, because when we're talking about collective creative consciousness, you really have to ask yourself why you're getting into the certain group or the certain setting that you're getting into and what you want out of it. And I think as a fellow creative, it's one of the things that you have to keep going back to. Your why determines everything. If you keep going back to your why, you can either remotivate everyone else within the group as well as yourself, because once you combine too many forces, which happens a lot of the times when you try to collaborate, the ego gets in the way, and everyone's I'd say, for lack of a better word, what everyone wants to get out of it ends up being at the forefront. As a creative, and you collaborate, you're always thinking, how best am I going to do my best work in this setting? And you have to keep remembering that, when you bring forces together, the sweet spot is how do you fulfill yourself, but at the same time help others also elevate to that level. And I guess when you get back to it, you have to keep going back to, I'm here for a reason, and my skills and everything that I can bring to the table is what's going to push this forward, and everyone else around you is also in that same space. So it's pretty much checking each other for pretty much pushing forward what they came to do and reminding them why they're here and doing what they came there to do, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to open the floor up. I think maybe Jai, Lucy, of course, for those of you who don't know them, they'll introduce themselves, but I'll actually hand back over to Nyacomba to keep the conversation flowing.
Thank you so much. Yes, as you know, we have some amazing panelists today with us, who I would like to start us off with introducing themselves and letting the people know what they do and who they're about, you know, and then we can now take it from there. So I think ladies first, we'll start with Lucy. Take us away.
So, hi, my name is Lucy Robbie, also Robbie 9. A lot of people know me as Robbie 9. I'm a fashion stylist, and I've been doing this for maybe the past, I think I can say like 10 years now. And it's been such a journey. So actually, I really loved your intro, Lindsay. Like I was just here like nodding. I was just like, yeah, really resonating with everything that you were saying. And well, it has brought me here, even like my being in this particular session today. It was just like, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Marlene, and I was just asking her, what kind of spaces are there? I hadn't really, and then she introduced me to 2 mind sessions. And then I think I sent an invite. I asked for an invite to this particular session today, and I ended up being a speaker. So I really love, and then the idea was collective consciousness. So it's just really amazing to see how I ended up to this particular session and all of these things that I've done that I've kind of do. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So I might be listening more than actually talking. So.
Well, you know, it's always interesting when people begin like that, and then the pill starts to unravel as you deep, you know, because then you start to see yourself in others, and that's what we are hoping to aim by this. But thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. Next up is our newest member, Simon. Can I call you Simon? Simon is has probably never attended a Free Minds, but is also new here. So take us away.
Hey. Hey, thank you to introduce me. Simon is super okay. Everyone in Nairobi call me Simon because it's like more easy. And yeah, I'm so happy to join this group because I feel a bit, I'm arriving in Nairobi like in August, but I still feel a bit alone in work in let's say like a designer, not like friends. I have a lot of friends, but like a designer, I'm trying to create my network, know other designer, other creative in Nairobi. So I'm so happy to be here. So just to introduce a bit myself, I'm a product designer. My name is Simone Cacciotella. I'm from Italy, and I've come to Nairobi because I want to do my positive part for the world. So I decided to go somewhere where we can do something and not just design garbage just to follow capitalism. So I come to Nairobi. I find my job with Burr Manufacturing. I don't know, someone probably knows G Cocoa. They make this charcoal stove. They are quite famous in Nairobi. But my big dream is to work with artisan, because I think that the power of Africa, the power of Kenya is in artisan. Like it's really the way of produce that we have here. And I mean, after you have told me, I wanna learn, but I feel that I don't want that Kenya become the new China, where there is a super fast development, but losing the soul. I want that we keep the way of producing by hand. In Europe, I really sad because we lose our ability of producing, of modifying, of doing, and everyone just go to IKEA and buy the already made furniture, and they even don't know how to change a bulb. So yeah, okay. I don't know how long time ago I want to also hear other people. If someone have more question about me, about what I want to do, and etc. Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I love that. I think we will continue to bounce off because product design and all these integrate so immensely. So I'm sure we will be able to like dig deep soon on that. But thank you so much for that. Next, last but not least, we have Jai, who will, yes.
Hello.
Take us
Can you guys
through.
hear me okay? Can
Yes,
you hear me?
we
All right,
can.
awesome. So my name is Jai. First off, thank you to Free Mind Session and Nairobi Design Week for having me. I am a musician, lawyer, writer, producer. I do a lot, and basically anything within the creative sphere I've touched on a little bit. So yeah, I'm just excited to have this discussion with everybody else on the panel, and really looking forward to having a interesting discussion, more or less.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is also something that I find so interesting, is that somebody is a musician, has this creative role, and still in the corporate, has a leg in the corporate. So you are the best of both worlds.
Jack of all
right
trades.
here sitting with us.
Actually,
yeah, Jack of all trades.
Jai of all trades. Let's do that one. That sounds better.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. And finally, we have who is somebody who was a new member, who was a member of Free Minds but came back, and we're so happy to have her, Imelda, who is on the call as well. Imelda, please introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll go into it. Actually, sorry, before Imelda comes on, I actually have to give her credit because she is the one who actually brought light towards us having this conversation during our brainstorms, and this is the reason why we are actually here today to speak on this. So Imelda.
Thanks, Jonas. Hi, I'm Imelda Natasha Kondo. I am a writer. I am a photographer and a digital artist. My art side kind of goes under the name Adikinyi. Yeah, I was part of Free Mind Sessions a few years ago as they were beginning, and now I took a hiatus or a sabbatical, if you can call it that, and now I'm back. When it comes to collective creative consciousness, I guess what I'd like for us to kind of like dive into, and what I see coming from this conversation, is just a lot about creativity and being part of something, and the mind of a creative and how we connect with each other on that level. So yeah, it's good to be here, and thank you to Free Mind Sessions and Nairobi Design Week.
Thank you guys. Amazing. I'm so happy we were able to get to know one another. I think this is going to be exciting. One of the things that I've seen is like what I like to say, the common thread that is joining us is obviously design, which is obviously creativity, but I wanted us to dial down a bit and figure out whether how this all stems, like how does it all begin, because we are aware that we have our surroundings, we are aware we have what it is we aspire or imagine or we want to create, but I would like us individually to come to understand almost where is the starting point. Maybe I can begin by saying the way in which my process is in terms of whether it's consuming a lot of the content towards fashion, and being able to sort of like in weeks or months in hand of researching and figuring out, okay, the consuming of this content, how do I want it to take? And it's almost just kind of like sitting in a pool of water and sort of allowing the the information to seep through you, and almost like I like to say the eureka moment of wow, now I can start to either doodle or sketch, and then I start to think, okay, before I even think that I'm wanting to like have anybody on the project, it's more so about me. And does that, maybe you can answer this for me and figure out, like, does that make me so individualistic? Does that block me from exploring more options? Or is that also part of the processes that maybe as creatives we've never talked about, that us being in our sort of cocoon or things like that is what actually breeds the best of us? So I don't know. I think we can sort of just, go around and explain sort of like the individual process, and then just, take it from there. Yeah, whoever is, I'm opening the floor to anybody, maybe the last person, Imelda. I don't know how you are our data collector. You are also, part of having to seek yourself a lot into the creative process. Maybe you can walk us through that. Yeah.
So when it comes to creativity, I believe that the little spark that comes from an individual. Little ideas, little sounds, like speaking as a, let's say, photographer and digital artist or writer. I think something comes up, like a sound, how an image would like to look, or something that somebody said. And then from there, the idea is born, and then it grows. And as a data collector now, it doesn't really require as much creativity as such, but it does require a lot of innovation to try and get the data that you want, that would be useful, out of people. So I don't think, like, once the process has begun as an individual thing, it can continue to go individually. The person can decide to go with the idea to its end as an individual project, or bring others into it, which is now also just bringing other individual ideas into one idea. So what happened is that the individual idea is no longer an individual, it just becomes a bunch of ideas put together.
Right. And, this is super important because, like I said, everybody's process is so different. And we seem to sort of think that there's a linear way of creativity. I think it either morphs with each project that we take on. And I'm just curious to figure out whether we can be able to create a manual for this, because most of the time, people are asked the question of how do you compute your ideas, or how do you come to a certain conclusion, for example, or how are you able to come up with this? And I would like to also figure out whether we can break the cycle of putting it in a silo or putting it in a box, and whereby we can figure out that there is different ways to approach things. So I think that's, you've highlighted something super important, Imelda, on that point, towards that. So moving, maybe, I don't know, is there, Jai, as a musician as well? Okay, we've kind of talked on the art side. This is maybe moving towards music and what your experience has been like that as an individual working on stuff. Maybe take us on that.
The way I see it is that art and creativity are extremely subjective subjects, meaning my creative process will be very different from yours. For instance, I play in a punk band called Crystal Axis, and I think you guys know a couple of my band members like Fox and Ahmed. So despite the fact that we play within the same band, make the same music, play the same shows, we have very different creative processes, and the way we go about composing and writing music is it's subjective. So at some point, you have to accept that your point of view is not going to be the same as the next person's point of view, which in my view is the beauty of life. If we're all the same, then there genuinely would be no art, there'd be no music, there would be no creativity in general. So I think the subjective nature of it is what makes art and collaborations pretty awesome, because then you have different people with different perspectives coming in, sharing their views, their perspective, taking it in a completely different direction. For instance, last year I was working on a project with a close friend, and we had a label who was interested in mastering the project. So we sent them everything, stems and all that. The final product we got back in the end was quite different from what we had started out with. So it took a while to come to terms with that. But then again, you also have to take into account these industries and the current landscape in the world that we're in. This is sort of how things work. Whatever you see as the final product, whether it's a song or an album, chair, whatever, it's definitely not what it was at the beginning, which is fine. That's part of the creativity process and all that. So despite it being subjective, at some point you also have to learn to sort of let go and trust in the others that you're working in, which is what makes it important to work with like-minded individuals when you're part of a collaboration or collective coalition or anything of that sort. That's more or less, yeah.
Okay. I would like to call upon Lucy to, like, as a fashion, on a perspective as a fashion stylist, and your process your process especially, and identifying your style as well towards that.
Okay, so I can only speak to my perspective, but I really resonated with what Jai said, and what I can add to that is that how my process was when I first started in the industry is not the same process that I have like right now with how I try and create things. So 10 years of time also has a really big part in playing. So time and also experience, it has a lot to play with. So as soon as I can literally see, let's say my social media pictures. Somebody asked me why I don't delete anything. And for me, I told them that the beauty in my timeline is I can actually see exactly where I started from and to where I am in that particular point. And you can actually see this growth that happened in my timeline. And it's beautiful to see that, because I can explain to you what my process is right now because of all these compounded experiences that I've had over the years, so that I can actually really refine and make a better product every single time or the next. And the learning of it is that it's a process, and you have to like fail and fall like a lot of times before you can be able to actually get everything really right, and right just for you first. So like for me, my process now is, because I haven't really been creating like a lot in a while, for a long time, but because of my experiences I had from Eve, I really refined how it is that I want to, like, from vision boarding to picking the people that I want to work with, picking them, maybe the models that I would like, to selecting the designers that I can approach for what and who to talk to and how I can get things. So it's refined, but I always see, and maybe this is just a sense of us like trying to make ourselves better. I'm always like, okay, when I look back at my work, I'm like, I could have done this. I should have, maybe if I did this. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. That's I mean, wow, because this is amazing to hear this, because I think most of us assume that we are always as creatives just in the bubble of creating. So if we do, there is moments where there's blankness and everything, but we do understand that is also the process. One thing I would do feel like that you brought solely towards gearing to how people in this time, especially, we've said our process as an individual, but there's a process of also how do we connect. COVID is still with us, and we have been experiencing as creatives a distance, and how that has also been affecting us. I want us to also dig deep on figuring how that has kind of crippled our creativity, and how each of us, our experiences has been sort of tainted with COVID, because we were in such a vibrant space of moving, shaking, and things like that. So maybe, I don't know, Lucy, like you're in the fashion space, so I wanted maybe to like juggle you on this and how you've experienced this, especially last year and this year as well.
That's a really good question. As to last year, a lot of things happened. So I used to do a fashion spread every week,
right,
at eWoman, and the thing with that is that as soon as COVID happened, guess what happened? You can't shoot anymore.
You can't meet these people. It's not accessible.
You can't shoot. You can't meet, and then you remember in that time space that we were in, like you couldn't even meet somebody, or like the anxiety, the tenseness, and it was like a war zone. Like it was so empty. But like, and then I think in a way, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I think I did need to slow down, and so it really made me like really go back to where I started, like 10 years ago, over 10, 12 years ago. So Eve gone. So I had to start using pictures from, so I had like a whole like collection of pictures that I had done for the past maybe like 4 years. So I had to recycle those pictures and come up with a new story, or try and come up with new ways of looking at things. And it got exhausting. It was so exhausting. Like it was because it really takes a toll on you as a creative. First of all, there's this whole thing and you really don't know what is going on. And then secondly, you're not really assured of what's going to happen next. And then whatever you had been doing just stops, like completely, like there's a new normal. So figuring that out was really kind of hard. But the slowing down of things really made me really go back to really understanding why I chose styling for myself. Like why, like what is it that I want to say? Because I felt like I had been saying a lot of things for a lot of people, but what is it that I wanted to say? What was the core goal for doing something that I loved completely? Like, what was it? So asking the why questions has been very interesting. So this year I have been, even with the collaborations that I'm currently taking on, and I've become much more intentional with even what I want to say and how I want to curate and what it is that I want to dabble in. So in a sense, I'm kind of grateful for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's important. I want to hand it to hear a different perspective from now Simon, who is a product designer. How is this we have this COVID and what we're experiencing right now in distance affected you as an individual and the work that you have been producing?
Okay, this is a good question. I can give you the simple answers, but basically I was working in China until December 19. I come back to Italy, and basically I was supposed to come to I was supposed to come to Nairobi in March, and after COVID happened, and so I've been without work until basically August. Because yeah, the company that hired me in Nairobi was say, yeah, you can come, but there is no plane. And so no, after this is the simple answer. After they start to manage, and so basically I start to collaborate with them since July. So we set up teams, we set up calls, and my boss was super helpful to teach me even from far. But it's still different. It's different because when you meet on online, there is every time this kind of little problem of connection. You're not directly. I'm Italian. I speak by hand, and so sometimes it's different. It's different to meet people, to create network, so yeah, you can give the information, the technical information. You can work even online. Setting is amazing that all the instruments that they've been created in this year to work even online. There is full of company. I think like Idea.org is still probably working online until September. So it's crazy that a company big like this is like don't meet sometime, because sometimes you need to be in the office and you need to this informal speaking that you don't have. If you have a meeting, you have to do this and this. But if you meet, there is more behind. There is a subs contents that give more meat, more energy to your project. So yeah. Sometimes I really feel that the most important of the project happened in the moment where we was not working. We was just together eating lunch, and so yeah, it's good that there is a lot of means to communicate, because it was possible to start work with my company without seeing no one since July. They do an excellent job. But when you meet, is different. I would like to be there with you and really just, I don't know.
Really but we are still having to do everything virtual like we are doing right now,
Yeah, exactly. And it's when you meet someone directly, you remember more the person, you have more connection. Is not behind a screen. So and maybe you drink a coffee or there is a break and you say you go to reach that one people that is really capture your attention, or just even not just.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. No, I think we are getting in an influx of some questions here, and I want to hand over to Lindsay to answer very important questions, just jumping still on the same line of just how COVID has sort of impacted our creativity, but also how that is, continuously the stay-at-home narrative and things like that. Lindsay, maybe you can take us away on the second question asked by our people online.
Right. I don't know if I can be heard.
Yeah, yes, you can. Do you think
social
distancing and what?
My mic was on this whole time, and I was just thinking to myself, my goodness, if I was passing any wind, it would be a wrap. It's just hit me. Oh my goodness. For about working in COVID, I think that's definitely something that I think we've all struggled with, and especially my craft. I'm a body painter. It's probably the most intimate thing that you can do. I have to touch you. I have to talk to you like this. So I took a big hit. I was crippled for months. Even up to now, it's not something that I do as often as before, because also my craft thrives, like as we're talking about collaboration. What my work entails is 1000% a collaborative effort. I need the person to paint. I need the venue to paint the person. I need the photographer to come take the pictures of the person that I'm painting. So it requires a lot. And I feel like on the topic of collective creative consciousness, collectively as creatives, our conscious had to change. All of us throughout COVID. We were forced into it. It was uncomfortable. It was depressing. And we all kind of were forced into a space where we had to figure it out. Someone like Lucy, who she's easily someone I could have worked with last year, very easily, but that wasn't, but that was taken away from us. So with lockdown and social distancing, unfortunately, we've been put into a space where the part where we complain about it, that part is over. That part is over. I was reading a quote today. There's this amazing photographer called Kabuda Kago. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him. Fantastic photographer. And he also has a very black and white view of seeing things. And he was talking about how, as creatives, and as Jai said before, our work is so subjective. It's so subjective. So as you collaborate with other people and you're trying to secure certain bags, especially within the corporate world, etc., you have to take some of those feelings away from your work. The same way, even throughout COVID, you have to take some of those personal feelings away and just realize the money must be made. And I hate to bring it up, but we're trying to eat. We're trying to sustain lifestyles, and COVID has been very, very difficult. And forcing us to kind of reimagine what that looks like. So Kabuda said in one of his posts that you must remember that at the end of the day, it's about the products. No one cares about your feelings. No one cares about, oh, this guy pissed you off here and there. And your product is directly connected to you. If you're already in a space where you feel like not everything is working out, you're in a very hopeless space, and you're having a pity party all for yourself, then of course the effects of COVID are going to hit you 10 times more. Of course you're going to feel like you're stuck in a space, but we have no option but to reimagine things. How do I, as a body painter, I think even the question for me, I had to ask myself, how do I create this experience, I guess virtually, or without putting myself and others at risk? And to be honest, I still have not found that answer. So you look at everything else you can do. It's unfortunate that this is the world that we live in. I think as a creative, one superpower that we have is there is no creative I know that just does one creative thing. And I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like we all have some small superpowers that we've either abandoned in the past, or we have not been feeding. And this is the time, at least on a personal level for me, that I was able to do that. I picked up the paintbrush, and instead of painting people, I went to the paper, I went to the canvas. And is my artwork doing amazingly? No, but like anything else, you need to, guys, we have to be honest. We have to be honest. I think it's going great because I'm getting my own personal fulfillment. I think once you detach everything else that surrounds the work and you focus on just the work, you will get the clients that you need. You will get the community around you. A very strange fact, last year I sold a painting only because a client discovered it via a hashtag. And that for me was something very, very, very profound. And it almost kind of lit a fire inside me that made me realize, okay, this physical thing is not working. The events that I used to make money at every weekend are not there. Am I going months without making money? Absolutely. I'm also very fortunate to have the comfort of several people around me. Support groups are also very vital in this space. You know, once you get out of the mentality of thinking you can do it all on your own, that's when you open up other doors subconsciously. As I said, I'm talking about the collective creative consciousness. Open up your creativity towards other people. In the 27 minutes pre-recorded session, we're talking about how being in COVID forces you to collaborate with people you had never thought about collaborating before. Embrace that space, this discomfort that we're all feeling. We can complain about it, and that complaining is going to take us nowhere. The new space and enjoy it. I feel like, I don't know if my internet has done a number, but that's pretty much okay. Before I ramble on a bit more, but pretty much embrace those uncomfortable spaces and literally put yourself there. That person you want to collaborate with, just push yourself into that space, because as creatives, we're all going through it. This is a time of solutions. And I would say the more honest and open you are about where you currently are, it allows you to connect more with the different creatives that you need to collaborate with to get that product that you want. So fire away, and just, you know, that fire, just keep going bits. You'll make a very nice meal with that fire. I promise you.
That is so, I love this because it is always been, you know, a turnover, like almost COVID kind of showed us there's more to us than just what people have been seeing you online, whether you've been the body artist, whether I've been the fashion designer, whether you're the product designer, all these things, you know, have been sort of the perception we've decided for people to see us online. But behold, somebody did say something very important, actually asked something very important in our comments, is whereby how do we still identify, how do we still remain with our identity within these spaces of collaboration? And I think in many ways, we are, I hope I'm still online. I'm seeing as if, oh.
Yeah, you're
fine. You're fine.
Oh,
You're okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're okay.
You froze for a bit. I didn't know whether I was just talking to myself for a minute there. But okay, yeah. Anyway, I was saying the art of still being able, Lindsay has really put a really, how do you say, almost like the ending towards what she was saying was almost jumping into what I wanted to, somebody had asked in regards to how do we still remain ourselves and still be able to allow our strengths to shine with this, while still doing collaboration. And I don't know how maybe each of you guys, your experiences has been with it, in regards to even just realizing your strengths and your weaknesses beforehand, and also just identifying whereby you could also pick up your weight in these spaces. Jai, you are in a band, you are running a collective. how has that been in regards to in your collective
Okay.
alive, but as well as where you
Truthfully,
stand for?
sorry, yeah, finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dev,
All right.
take it up.
So for a majority of my life, I have been within some sort of collaborative coalition or something of that sort. The band, for instance, we started this way back when we were in high school. I think it's been 12, 13 years now that we've been playing as Crystal Axis. As soon as we realized the pandemic was taking place and that we would not be able to go and actually play live gigs, we really had to reevaluate how we were doing everything. So this sort of led to us moving towards what we now have as Acacia Collective, which is basically like a collective of different artists, creators from different sectors coming together. So we all have very, very varying backgrounds, different interests, and we all have different goals and priorities and all that. But the main thing, and what I would say has allowed us to actually work as a band, as a collective, as a group, is the fact that we are we are ready and we're willing to collaborate. If you go in with, oh, this is my point of view, this is how I want the project to come out, then you will not get anywhere. Every time I have a conversation like this with a new musician or someone I'm producing for, I will always tell them to focus on the product and not to, no, sorry, focus on the process and not focus on the end goal. Otherwise, then you're just, focus on the process. That is the process of collaboration. Whether it's how you guys start a song, how you're writing the lyrics, whether it's how you started a painting and then someone else is going to add on to it, just continually focus on the process and surround yourself with people who have your best interests in heart. You guys have to have the same outlook to an extent, and you have to have the same end goals to an extent. Yeah, you have to be working towards at least something similar to an extent, but you also have to be open to deviating and to shifting those goals and to allow things to change. You have to adapt to the situation. Like us, for instance, as Crystal Axis, live gigs was a big, big part of our income. So despite being a producer, a lawyer, and all that, live gigs was actually my biggest income stream. Obviously, 2020 got rid of all of that, so we had to reevaluate, restructure, and figure out what we were going to do, which in turn birthed the Acacia Collective, where we were able to now figure things out slowly, pole together, and as a team, as a collective, and as a group of like-minded individuals who had the resources we wanted to share, and basically also help other people out. So that's the thing. Just be open to collaboration, regardless of whether or not there's social distancing or COVID or not. There's always ways around this thing. If you want to create, you will create. It doesn't matter. It's 2021, and you have to take into account we are in the digital age. The same way you guys say during the pre-recorded process. Pre-recorded video. We are in the digital age. Everything is online. Everything is out there. So if you want to create, you will create.
True. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jai. I hope that was helpful towards, the people, there are a lot of people asking questions online, and we're just hoping to identify and tap into those questions and hopefully shed some light and come up with solutions. So I see there's also there's another question that's coming in which seems very interesting here. Sometimes looking for solutions, even when you've identified the problem, becomes challenging. How does one go about this? I don't know. I think as a designer, I think we're always going through different problems that we have to identify. Maybe somebody can maybe jump in and tell us what they would how they would answer this question, perhaps. Lucy, I see you looking at me. Tell me. How do you feel like this applies to you?
Oh, it's such a broad question, but I see it like sometimes looking for solutions. Yes. I think answers come in very, 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 very weird ways. And sometimes you have to learn how to look for to actually look for the answer yourself, like to look for the answers, to look out for the signs that will give you the solution. For me personally, I also am a cocoon person. Like I'm always in my own head, and I'm always trying to, even when I have a concept, it has to kind of like build itself in my mind. Exactly, it has to build itself, and sometimes it depends with whatever it is I'm hatching, and it could be from a day to even like months to even like years. But then sometimes maybe when the solution comes, it's actually coming at the perfect moment for you to actually be able to solve the problem that you have. So that's what I can actually say to that.
Okay. Well, we've identified the beauty of all these things that we experience is mainly the process, is not actually the end game, as much as we do flourish in getting the end result. As a fashion designer, I think, service, the way I am to service to people is you make clothes. People need clothes. People wear clothes, right? But sometimes I don't know, like I was saying earlier, was that I don't know, I enjoy just the thoughts of, oh, we could create this and we could do that and we could add such flamboyant things to things and add more drama to everything. But sometimes to get there and to see that product sometimes is also what I have experienced in the past tough, because when, for example, you're not getting your, say, the type of fabric that you want, or the type of sort of, things that like little bit of intricate details that will actually push the final product towards it sometimes can be a bit detrimental towards the whole process, and you feel like you'd rather have just stayed in a bit of limbo, for example. Yeah, I don't know if we've answered it correctly. Would somebody like to jump in and maybe
I wanna jump because I think that is I have to think 2 minutes to the question, but now I think I would like to say something. And like creative, we are the only one. Sometimes there is a problem, and apparently there is no solution. We say, really, there is a problem. You say, if you think rationally, there is no solution. But like creative, we can go around. This is the beauty of our job. It's like it's amazing. Like if maybe there is a problem and you cannot solve it, just make it bigger. Like let me find an example, but like sometimes we design something and there is an engineering problem that makes like not beautiful this particular, so you have to, like, maybe you have to put a screw there, and it's say, why this surface is so clean, I don't want to put a screw in that point. And the solution is just making a red big screw that tells to the customer, this is the screw, this is the way that the object work. So sometimes there is no rational solution, and the only way is just to go creative and say, yeah. I don't know if I'm be clear.
I mean, we are supposed to be problem solvers, but what it begs the question whether some things are meant to be solved or just left in a sort of, like I said, like you just kind of sit in the idea of ideas. But yeah, I think I want Lindsay to answer this, because also she has probably a different take on this.
I think, it's funny. My take actually isn't different.
Is that different?
It actually isn't different. I was going to say, unfortunately, as creatives, we have the burden of the world. We carry the burden of the world to be the problem solvers. That is our job. I think the core of creativity is to and design, especially when you look at design, is to create solutions. You look at things like, there was a petition I saw the other day for creating more accessible spaces for the disabled within our country, because it's not something that is there. Design plays a huge role into that. I am a failed architect as well, so and one thing I learned in school when I was studying architecture is that, unfortunately, as an architect, you're tasked with the idea of almost playing God, because as an architect, you get to design how people experience space subconsciously. So even in that space, you're creating solutions. If you want people to experience a certain space differently, you design it so that it does that thing. It creates that solution to that thing. The process of creating the solution will always just be a process. Even when you've come up with the solution, designs change and different problems arise, and even that design will need to be amended to cater to this new need that is there. So I think, as to answer that question, if I haven't already, I think to come to a space and have an issue arise, and have a situation where you feel you're not in control of, creating solutions is the hardest part, but that's where we shine. If you look at it as a barrier, that's all it will be. If you look at it as an opportunity, then you have something to work with. And I feel like it's more a mindset thing than it is about practicality. You can come up with the craziest solutions, but as long as all they are just ideas, and that's all that they'll be. Push yourself out there to be in the middle of the chaos, and you'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah. Somebody who also is in this space, like maybe in terms of who has also who has found a way in free. I'll take free mind sessions as the guinea pig, and has used it to sort of create solutions, is what Imelda also does at Free Minds in terms of, post data collection. That is a solution in itself, as much as like people might be like, oh, well, it's not really as grand. And, maybe she can also maybe explain it a little bit, but also it can be a way as people can see that sometimes the solutions don't have to be as as extensive as they say. There are these things that we sort of bypass and sort of not give too much credit towards. So I don't know, Imelda, maybe you can give us just a little bit of that insight of just how, also what you do in terms of data collection is so important. And then, we can move on to the next part.
Okay, so when it comes to, well, first I'll answer the question and then give a little bit more about the data collection as a problem-solving solution. I think a whole new set of eyes can really change the perspective on a particular problem. So, for example, if it is a group of designers and only designers, you can introduce somebody like a musician. Or if it's a group of painters, you can introduce a sculptor. And this is kind of what I've come to learn, also connecting with the whole data collecting process, is that the problem usually when looked at is constituted by just the eyes that are there. The eyes define the spectrum of the problem. When you want to see the problem in a different light, other things begin to appear. So with Free Mind sessions, the post-data collection is after the session, what did people find out? What did people experience from the whole session? And that could be given, an answer to that could be given from Free Mind session organizing, because it's not that we're removed from the session, it's that we're part of the session as well. But having it come from the people who experience the problem, okay, also this, the people who experience the problem could give the solution and to what the problem is. So a different set of eyes gives a different problem. The problem might not be the same as what the people who are encountering the problem are looking at. It could be different in its own way. So yeah, that's kind of how I would go about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I hope, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot that could go into this, but I like that conclusion, and I hope that people will be able to see that and see that perspective, because sometimes we really bypass the small things, because as designers, we like to concentrate more on the bigger stuff. And you know, as we say, the small screws, as Simon, you know, said, is what also is going to help us in the long run build the big ship, for example. But yeah, I wanted to know any sort of, as we are getting towards the end of the session, and I just wanted guys to, our amazing catalysts for this evening, please go around and just tell us, maybe put in your social medias and your businesses so that people can follow you, and where people can find you, and where people can just reach in, you know, since we are still isolated and we are still in lockdown and still have a curfew and we still can't meet in public, maybe we can figure out a way in which you can still continue to get this connection going. Yeah, take it. Ladies first, our Lucy in the room, perhaps. Yeah.
So this has been like, I think this was actually the conversation that I was actually looking into. These are actually my favorite types of conversations to have, always, forever, always. But what I've really taken away from this is that we are all different people, and we all have different ways of approaching things. And even I got a lot from Simone and Imelda as to how they make the problem. They don't just make the problem like for yourself, you make the problem for everybody to kind of like help you and solve, which is like, I kind of really like that. And also from Jai, I wanted to add that, yeah, like even when I'm doing like a fashion, even when I'm doing like a shoot and a photography, and even like the image, if I had it in my mind, there are so many times where like whatever I thought the picture was, or whatever, how I thought the expectation, my expectation as to the particular project, and then the end result were always two completely different, like so far apart. Sometimes it used to make me so upset, like, you know, like you really went in thinking one thing, and then you get like a really, and there's so many times it has happened to the point where I had to unlearn how to make peace with and having no expectations when you come into a new project, and having the wiggle room to just be able to accept that there is the ideal and then there's reality, and looking at the beauty and how even the process, because once you allow yourself to let in other people on your collaborative project, you should also be willing for it to turn into whatever it is that it's going to turn into. And it is okay. Yeah. So I'm really happy about this session.
Thank you so much. I hope people take away that as goodie bags to remember that it is okay in that regard. Jai, tell us your final remarks and
Final remarks would be, obviously, given the conversation we've had, creativity and collaboration go hand in hand. That's one thing that I would say, especially given the fact that we're living in a global pandemic at the moment. And also, as creatives, there's no way you can do whatever you're doing on your own. Your favorite musician has a team, your favorite actor has a team, your favorite designer has a team. So always collaborate, always be open, always be willing to learn. Remember, focus on the process. For me, basically, that's it in a nutshell.
I like that. Focus on the process. I hope people take that away. Yeah, it's fun, actually. So, and Simone, our final panelist for today, catalysts, as we like to call them here at Free Mind Sessions.
Okay. So my think is that the phoenix burn from the ash, and the ash is good. So, for example, like the two theme of this evening was the COVID make really the life difficult for designer, for creative. And be in a group can be a problem because it's difficult to keep ourselves like keep our soul, and maybe or we keep too much, or we live too much and we don't know anymore who we are. But from this problem, from the difficulty to work in group, or from the problem of like cannot really do some stuff because you need a physical space. For example, just a stupid example, I don't know, I would like to speak more with the body painter that I forgot the name. Like people like to paint. Why you don't organize like painting session where people like paint ourselves the body? You teach how to paint them body. And I don't know, maybe people don't go. When I was in COVID in house, I started to print this object that I was shipping in Italy, and I finally my Instagram did shut down, but was a trial. Sometime from the problem, every time I like to work in a more problematic project, and not on because they give you more idea, they give you to think more. So yeah. Don't. My point is that don't be scared from the problem. The problem for creativity is the solution. Is what push us to move more strongness. Because if everything is good, yeah, you just. But if there is problem, is that what push to grow more and more, and do something that is really different, something that really solve problem.
Okay. Lindsay, well, you've been called upon to have more painting sessions. Maybe that should be the sort of conclusion. But yes, before we completely wrap up, Imelda, maybe just the final tip of the iceberg towards this, and then I wanted to
Okay. So my takeaway from this is just that as creatives, we're kind of all going through this process of unlearning and relearning, and having to sort of deal with this whole implosion of what is going on in our creative lives, like the spark that's come up, or if we're in a creative block, what to do in that process. Because it's been a long time. It's been about a year plus, and we've gone through the cycles up and down of what is going on creatively. And most importantly, I think the whole aspect of the creative collective creative consciousness is that we should focus on the process. As Lindsay said, the process is where we get the push to keep going as creatives. So it's been a great session.
Thank you. Thank you. And Lindsay, is there some your takeaways from this and what you would be wanting people to be, taking home today or being at their home already?
My takeaway is that I hope everyone has a mental basket, and they've been collecting these Easter eggs of information. I really don't have much else to add, except to just put yourself into spaces that you've imagined but are scared of. There's a lot to learn there, and in this space more than ever, please be teachable. Let other people add to what you're doing, because as you've mentioned here, we're all unlearning. So in the process of unlearning, let's also be teachable as well. Yeah, and that's my mic drop.
Well, guys, honestly, what this feels to me, and in conclusion, the two things that, kind of what I wanted people to really let that sink in is the value of collaboration. Even the fact that we may be sitting at home, we have the digital age in which we can DM people and ask them to be like, yo, there's things I'm working on, take a look at this. What do you think? It has become something that has brought us together, even though it doesn't feel like that physically. And two, the spiritual renaissance that happens when, like what Simon said, something very important, from ashes is what, how can I put it? It's almost like an awakening of some sort. And as creatives, that is like what feeds into our soul. The minute we pick up that paintbrush, the minute we, listen to that music or that beat, the minute that we pick up the camera and take pictures, our fellow Adrian was telling us that he's been doing this since he was 4, and it's like almost like something like the back of his hand. And these things that we need to cultivate more, so that we also are the best versions of ourselves when we meet others and put in that effort and plug in. So I think we're coming to the end of our session today, our first virtual session. It almost feels very surreal. We didn't think this would happen, but it did. And I hope that we can have more of these. I think this was like our sort of trial and error, but I think we did well. I don't know about you guys. I think we did amazing. And the people that are on here, we appreciate it so much, because you just jumped on. You took a leap of faith with us, and you said, yeah, we are gonna join you guys, and we're gonna crack this up and make it a good time, but also having those conversations that I think were necessary to be had today and forevermore. Amen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, as always, guys, I would say get home safely, but we like to conclude by saying, as always, stay free. And thank you so much again. I'll hand it to the guys of Nairobi Design Week. They need to say a little something. They are our partners. We have to ensure that they have the space. But yeah, thank you, guys.
So we have the space.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Nyacomba, Lindsay, Imelda, Free Mind Sessions, all our guests, and everyone who's tuned in on YouTube. The chat has been live.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that insights. Let's stay free-minded.
Yeah,
Cheers, guys.
Stay free-minded.
So if you go to nairobidesignweek.com, you can see where we are in the festival. We're currently on Thursday, and as soon as these live streams finish, they go live on the website here. So that's what we're doing tonight as well. So this is where the Free Mind Sessions live stream will be, and that's where it will live.
Tomorrow we have Under Our Skin coming up at 6 p.m. They're going to be talking about the coming film festival. See how you can apply for those film creators and creatives. Come and join us for a nice informative session. 6 p.m. East African time.
Yeah, and then on Saturday we've got the Design Repeat party. So all the amazing creatives who have signed up, and just check out the talent on edesignrepeat.com. We can't wait to have some live performances. Again, 6 p.m. East Africa time on Saturday, the 10th of April.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening or wherever you are.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.